Hello, wonderful viewer. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to practice listening to English by exploring a captivating U.S. history story. It's a fantastic way to improve your language skills while delving into the rich tapestry of American history. If this is your first time on my channel, please consider subscribing, liking, and leaving a comment to help improve the video. Now, let's get started and enjoy this learning journey together. Sam Houston. Sam Houston was a prominent figure in American history, known for his roles as a soldier, politician, and statesman. Born in 1793 in Virginia, Houston moved to Tennessee where he became a lawyer and eventually entered politics. He quickly rose to prominence, serving as the governor of Tennessee and later as a congressman. However, it was his leadership during the Texas Revolution that cemented his place in history. Houston played a crucial role in the fight for Texas's independence from Mexico. He led the Texan army to victory against Mexican forces at the Battle of San Jacinto in 1836, securing Texas's independence. Following Texas's independence, Houston served as the President of the Republic of Texas and later as one of its senators after Texas joined the United States. He played a key role in advocating for Texas's annexation to the United States, which occurred in 1845. Houston's legacy extends beyond his military and political achievements. He was known for his efforts to promote peaceful relations with Native American tribes and his staunch opposition to the expansion of slavery in Texas. Despite his contributions to the nation, Houston's political career faced challenges, including his refusal to take an oath of loyalty to the Confederacy during the Civil War, which led to his removal from office as the governor of Texas. Sam Houston remains a revered figure in Texas and American history, remembered for his bravery, leadership, and dedication to the ideals of freedom and democracy. Sam Houston's life was filled with dramatic twists and turns that showcased his resilience and determination. After a failed marriage and subsequent exile from Tennessee due to his controversial support for Native American rights, Houston found himself in Texas. In Texas, he quickly became involved in the growing tensions between American settlers and Mexican authorities. Houston's leadership during the Battle of San Jacinto, where he famously rallied his troops with the cry, "Remember the Alamo! Remember Goliad!" secured Texas's independence and earned him the nickname, the Raven. As the first president of the Republic of Texas, Houston faced numerous challenges, including financial instability and border disputes with Mexico. Despite these challenges, he worked tirelessly to establish diplomatic relations with other countries and secure recognition of Texas's independence. Houston's political career in Texas was marked by both triumphs and setbacks. He served multiple terms as President of the Republic of Texas and later as a U.S. Senator, where he advocated for the rights of Native Americans and opposed the spread of slavery. However, his refusal to support the Confederacy during the Civil War led to his removal from office as governor of Texas. Despite this, Houston remained steadfast in his beliefs and continued to advocate for reconciliation and unity in a divided nation. In his later years, Houston retired from politics and lived a quieter life in Huntsville, Texas, where he passed away in 1863. His legacy as a hero of Texas independence and a champion of freedom and justice continues to inspire generations of Americans. George Washington, the first President of the United States and a key leader during the American Revolutionary War. George Washington was born on February 22, 1732, in Westmoreland County, Virginia, to a prosperous plantation family. Despite lacking formal education, he developed a strong work ethic and a passion for learning. At the age of 21, he became a surveyor for the Virginia colony, which allowed him to explore the frontier and gain valuable experience. Washington's military career began during the French and Indian War, where he gained recognition for his bravery and leadership. He quickly rose through the ranks and was eventually appointed as the commander of the Virginia Regiment by the colonial governor. During the American Revolutionary War, Washington played a crucial role in leading the Continental Army against British forces. Despite facing numerous challenges and setbacks, including harsh winter conditions at Valley Forge, Washington's resilience and strategic acumen helped keep the revolutionary cause alive. One of Washington's most famous achievements during the war was his daring crossing of the Delaware River on December 25, 1776, leading to a surprise attack on Hessian forces in Trenton, New Jersey. This victory provided a much-needed boost to American morale and reinvigorated the revolutionary cause. In 1781, Washington's leadership culminated in the decisive victory at the Battle of Yorktown, which led to the surrender of British General Cornwallis and effectively ended the Revolutionary War. His reputation as a military leader and statesman grew, and he became known as the father of his country. After the war, Washington retired to his Mount Vernon estate but was called upon again to serve his country. He presided over the Constitutional Convention in 1787 and was unanimously elected as the first President of the United States in 1789. As president, Washington faced the daunting task of establishing a new nation and shaping its institutions. He set important precedents for the presidency, including the two-term limit and the establishment of a cabinet. Washington's leadership helped stabilize the new government and earn the respect of both domestic and foreign leaders. After 2 terms in office, Washington stepped down from the presidency, setting a precedent for peaceful transfer of power. He retired to Mount Vernon once again but remained a revered figure in American politics until his death on December 14, 1799. George Washington's legacy as a military hero and statesman continues to be celebrated in the United States. His leadership during the Revolutionary War and his contributions to the founding of the nation earned him a place among the most revered figures in American history. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, known for his leadership during the Civil War and his efforts to abolish slavery. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, is renowned for his leadership during one of the nation's most tumultuous periods, the Civil War, and his unwavering commitment to ending slavery. Born on February 12, 1809, in a log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky, Lincoln's early life was marked by poverty and hardship. Despite his humble beginnings, Lincoln possessed a keen intellect and a strong desire for self-improvement. He largely educated himself through reading and study, eventually becoming a successful lawyer in Illinois. His early political career included serving in the Illinois state legislature and a single term in the United States House of Representatives. Lincoln's political rise gained momentum in the 1850s as the nation grappled with the issue of slavery. The Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854, which allowed for the expansion of slavery into new territories, spurred Lincoln's return to politics and his emergence as a leading voice against the spread of slavery. In 1860, Lincoln secured the Republican Party's nomination for president and won a 4-way race, becoming the first Republican president. His victory deeply divided the nation, with many Southern states viewing his election as a threat to the institution of slavery. Lincoln's presidency was defined by the outbreak of the Civil War in April 1861. Shortly after he took office. Faced with the secession of several Southern states and the threat of disunion, Lincoln made preserving the Union his top priority. Despite his personal abhorrence of slavery, he initially framed the conflict as a fight to restore the Union rather than as a crusade against slavery. As the war progressed, Lincoln's views on slavery evolved, influenced by both moral considerations and the strategic imperative of weakening the Confederacy. In 1862, he issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared that all slaves in Confederate-held territory were to be set free. While the proclamation did not immediately end slavery, it signaled a significant shift in the aims of the war and bolstered support for the Union cause. Lincoln's leadership during the Civil War was marked by his steady resolve, strategic acumen, and ability to navigate the complexities of wartime politics. Despite facing immense pressure and criticism, he remained steadfast in his commitment to preserving the Union and ending slavery. The Union's victory in the Civil War in 1865 marked a turning point in American history, and Lincoln's leadership played a central role in shaping the nation's future. Tragically, Lincoln's life was cut short when he was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth on April 14, 1865, just days after General Robert E. Lee's surrender at Appomattox Courthouse. Abraham Lincoln's legacy as the great emancipator and the savior of the Union endures to this day. His leadership during one of the nation's darkest hours helped steer the United States through its greatest crisis and laid the groundwork for a more just and inclusive society. He is remembered as one of America's greatest presidents and a symbol of courage, integrity, and perseverance in the face of adversity. Rosa Parks, an African-American civil rights activist known for her role in the Montgomery bus boycott, which helped spark the civil rights movement. Rosa Parks, often referred to as the "mother of the civil rights movement," was born Rosa Louise Macaulay on February 4, 1913, in Tuskegee, Alabama. Her upbringing in the segregated South deeply influenced her commitment to fighting racial injustice. Parks' defining moment came on December 1, 1955, when she refused to give up her seat to a white passenger on a segregated bus in Montgomery, Alabama. Her courageous act of defiance led to her arrest and sparked the Montgomery bus boycott, a pivotal event in the civil rights movement. At the time of Parks' arrest, segregation laws mandated that African Americans give up their seats to white passengers if the bus became crowded, and they were required to sit in the back of the bus. Parks' refusal to comply with this unjust law was not only an act of personal resistance but also a deliberate and strategic protest against segregation. The Montgomery bus boycott, organized by civil rights leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr., lasted for 381 days and dealt a significant blow to the city's public transportation system. African American residents, comprising the majority of bus riders, boycotted the buses, choosing instead to walk, carpool, or use alternative forms of transportation. Parks' arrest and the subsequent boycott garnered national attention and galvanized support for the civil rights movement. The boycott's success demonstrated the power of nonviolent protest and grassroots organizing in challenging segregation and inequality. In November 1956, the United States Supreme Court ruled in Browder v. Gale that segregation on Montgomery buses was unconstitutional, effectively ending the boycott and marking a major victory for the civil rights movement. Following the boycott, Parks continued her activism, working for the NAACP and advocating for civil rights, women's rights, and social justice. She became an iconic figure in the struggle for equality, admired for her courage, dignity, and unwavering commitment to justice. Rosa Parks' legacy as a civil rights icon is celebrated worldwide. Her refusal to surrender her seat on a segregated bus ignited a movement that forever changed the course of American history. She remains an inspiration to generations of activists and a symbol of the power of ordinary people to spark extraordinary change. Parks passed away on October 24, 2005, but her legacy lives on as a beacon of hope and resilience in the ongoing fight for equality and justice. Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and principal author of the Declaration of Independence.
Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of the United States, played a pivotal role in shaping the nation's early history and ideals. Born on April 13, 1743, in Shadwell, Virginia, Jefferson was raised in a wealthy family and received a classical education. He attended the College of William and Mary, where he studied law and eventually became a prominent lawyer in Virginia. Jefferson's political career began in the early stages of the American Revolution. In 1775, he was elected to the Continental Congress, where he drafted the Declaration of Independence, which was adopted on July 4, 1776. The Declaration, with its famous words proclaiming, "All men are created equal," and asserting the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, solidified Jefferson's reputation as a champion of liberty and democracy. After the American Revolution, Jefferson served as the governor of Virginia from 1779 to 1781. He later represented Virginia in the Continental Congress and played a key role in drafting the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, which established the process for admitting new states to the Union and prohibited slavery in the Northwest Territory. Jefferson's most enduring legacy, however, stems from his presidency. He was elected as the third President of the United States in 1800, defeating the incumbent John Adams. As president, Jefferson prioritized several key initiatives, including the expansion of the United States through the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, which nearly doubled the size of the country. Jefferson also championed the principles of limited government and individual liberty. He believed in a strict interpretation of the Constitution and advocated for states' rights, limited federal power, and agrarianism. His administration saw the repeal of the Alien and Sedition Acts, which had restricted freedom of speech and press, and the reduction of the national debt. However, Jefferson's presidency was not without controversy. Despite his advocacy for liberty, he owned hundreds of enslaved individuals throughout his life and faced criticism for his contradictory views on race and slavery. He also faced challenges in dealing with foreign powers, including the Barbary Wars and tensions with Great Britain and France. After serving 2 terms as president, Jefferson retired to his plantation, Monticello, in Virginia. He continued to be involved in public life, founding the University of Virginia and serving as its first rector. Jefferson also maintained a prolific correspondence with political leaders and intellectuals of his time, discussing topics ranging from politics to philosophy. Thomas Jefferson passed away on July 4, 1826, exactly 50 years after the adoption of the Declaration of Independence. His legacy as a statesman, philosopher, and architect of American democracy endures to this day, and he is remembered as one of the most influential figures in American history. John F. Kennedy. The 35th President of the United States, known for his leadership during the Cuban Missile Crisis and his vision for the space program. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, often referred to by his initials JFK, was the 35th President of the United States, serving from January 20, 1961, until his assassination on November 22, 1963. Born on May 29, 1917, in Brookline, Massachusetts, Kennedy came from a prominent political family and was the second of 9 children. Kennedy's early life was marked by privilege and a strong sense of duty instilled by his father, Joseph P. Kennedy Sr. He attended Harvard University, where he excelled academically and became interested in politics and international affairs. During World War II, Kennedy served in the United States Navy, commanding PT-109 in the Pacific Theater and earning the Navy and Marine Corps Medal for his heroism. After the war, Kennedy entered politics, serving as a congressman from Massachusetts from 1947 to 1953 and as a senator from 1953 to 1960. In 1960, he won the Democratic nomination for president and defeated Vice President Richard Nixon in a closely contested election, becoming the youngest person and the first Catholic to be elected president. Kennedy's presidency was marked by a youthful and charismatic leadership style, as well as a focus on domestic and foreign policy initiatives. One of his most notable domestic achievements was the launch of the New Frontier program, which aimed to address issues such as economic inequality, civil rights, and health care. Kennedy also faced significant challenges in foreign affairs, including the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962, when the United States and the Soviet Union came to the brink of nuclear war over the presence of Soviet missiles in Cuba. Kennedy's cool-headed diplomacy and willingness to negotiate a peaceful resolution to the crisis earned him praise for averting a potential catastrophe. Kennedy's presidency was also characterized by his commitment to civil rights and social justice. He supported the civil rights movement and took steps to advance racial equality, including the desegregation of public facilities and schools. His administration proposed and ultimately passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Tragically, Kennedy's presidency was cut short by his assassination in Dallas, Texas, on November 22, 1963. His death shocked the nation and the world, and the circumstances surrounding his assassination continue to be the subject of speculation and debate. Despite his abbreviated time in office, Kennedy's presidency left an indelible mark on American history. He is remembered for his inspirational leadership, his vision for a better future, and his enduring legacy as a symbol of hope and optimism. Kennedy's famous words, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country," continue to inspire generations of Americans to public service and civic engagement. Eleanor Roosevelt. Former First Lady and a prominent advocate for civil rights, women's rights, and human rights. Eleanor Roosevelt, often referred to as First Lady of the World, was a trailblazing figure in American history, known for her advocacy for human rights, social justice, and equality. Born on October 11, 1884, in New York City, Eleanor was the niece of President Theodore Roosevelt and grew up in a privileged but emotionally turbulent household. Despite facing personal challenges, including the loss of both parents at a young age, Eleanor emerged as a resilient and determined young woman. She married her distant cousin, Franklin D. Roosevelt, in 1905, and the couple had 6 children. However, their marriage faced strains due to Franklin's political ambitions and extramarital affairs. Eleanor's life took a transformative turn when Franklin was stricken with polio in 1921, leaving him partially paralyzed. Despite the challenges posed by her husband's illness, Eleanor became his trusted confidant and political advisor, playing an increasingly active role in his political career. As First Lady of the United States from 1933 to 1945, Eleanor redefined the role of the president's spouse, using her position to advocate for social reform and champion the rights of marginalized groups. She held regular press conferences, wrote a syndicated newspaper column, and traveled extensively across the country, engaging with ordinary Americans and advocating for their needs. Eleanor's advocacy extended to a wide range of issues, including civil rights, women's rights, labor rights, and children's welfare. She was a vocal supporter of the civil rights movement, working to advance desegregation and equal treatment for African Americans. She also played a key role in drafting the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 1948, and became the first chair of the UN Commission on Human Rights. After Franklin's death in 1945, Eleanor remained active in public life, serving as a delegate to the United Nations and continuing her advocacy for human rights and social justice. She chaired the President's Commission on the Status of Women under President John F. Kennedy and was a driving force behind the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Eleanor Roosevelt's legacy as a champion of human rights and social justice continues to inspire generations of activists and leaders around the world. Her tireless advocacy for equality and compassion for the less fortunate earned her widespread admiration and respect, making her one of the most influential and beloved figures in American history. Eleanor passed away on November 7, 1962, but her legacy lives on as a beacon of hope and inspiration for those fighting for a more just and equitable world.
Neil Armstrong, an astronaut and the first person to walk on the Moon during the Apollo 11 mission in 1969. Neil Armstrong, an American astronaut, made history on July 20, 1969, by becoming the first person to set foot on the surface of the Moon during NASA's Apollo 11 mission. Born on August 5, 1930, in Wapakoneta, Ohio, Armstrong developed a fascination with flight and space exploration from a young age. After serving as a naval aviator during the Korean War, Armstrong joined NASA in 1962 as one of the second group of astronauts selected for the Gemini and Apollo programs. He quickly distinguished himself as a skilled pilot and engineer, earning the trust and respect of his colleagues. Armstrong's historic journey to the Moon began on July 16, 1969, when he, along with fellow astronauts Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins, launched aboard the Apollo 11 spacecraft from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. After a 4-day journey, the spacecraft entered lunar orbit on July 19. On the historic day of July 20, 1969, Armstrong and Aldrin descended to the lunar surface in the lunar module named Eagle, while Collins remained in orbit around the Moon in the command module. As millions of people around the world watched in awe, Armstrong made his famous proclamation as he stepped off the ladder onto the Moon's surface. "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Armstrong and Aldrin spent about 2.5 hours exploring the lunar surface, collecting samples, conducting experiments, and taking photographs. They also planted the American flag and left behind a plaque that read, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the Moon, July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind." After spending a total of 21 hours and 36 minutes on the lunar surface, Armstrong and Aldrin returned to the lunar module and rejoined Collins in lunar orbit. The crew then began their journey back to Earth, splashing down safely in the Pacific Ocean on July 24, 1969. Neil Armstrong's historic moonwalk was a defining moment in human history, symbolizing the triumph of science, technology, and human ingenuity. His courage, skill, and pioneering spirit continue to inspire generations of scientists, astronauts, and dreamers around the world, reminding us of the limitless possibilities of human exploration and discovery in space. Armstrong passed away on August 25, 2012, but his legacy as a space exploration pioneer and the first person to walk on the Moon will forever be remembered and celebrated.